Hello and welcome everyone to episode 5 of Beneath the Current. I'm Nandish Thakkar, Vice President of Communications at CSU. We have Safa in the background helping us behind the scenes. Today it's an interesting topic. We are talking about artificial intelligence and we have someone really special on the episode this time. We have Patrick Hymus. Can you tell us something about yourself, Patrick?
Sure, my name is Patrick. I work out of the Cornwall campus. I'm part of the School of Contemporary Teaching and Learning, or SCTL. That's my main role. And we provide faculty support in teaching and learning, which includes, for my role, digital learning tools. And I consider these to be these generative AI tools to be digital learning tools. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Wow, yeah, same. I love artificial intelligence. I think it's an amazing step in technology towards the future. And yeah, we have quite a few things to talk about it. So artificial intelligence has been in rise ever since last year, if I can remember correctly. It came out in the form of ChatGPT, as we all know it, and it's been tricky trying to navigate how to use it, the ethical ways to use it. Let's start with what you think artificial intelligence means.
What does it mean? So artificial intelligence would just be something that's capable of reasoning. That's not a human. It's based
Right.
on a computer or some program.
Right. Machine learning, deep learning, stuff like that.
I mean, not exactly for artificial intelligence. Usually, when we talk about AI, there's what's called an AGI, an artificial general intelligence,
Right.
and that's what some people are thinking we are moving towards. Some think maybe it's already happened. It just hasn't been released into the wild. So maybe OpenAI or some other company or government has an artificial general intelligence
Ooh.
that they're not really releasing. Personally, I don't think that's the case. I think we haven't reached that there. But an AGI would be something that's capable of doing all tasks very, very well.
Okay.
Right now, we have some that are more, they're very good at doing certain things, but they can't do other tasks outside of those specific few.
Right.
Or we have ones that are can do many things, but not very well.
Okay.
An
Okay.
artificial intelligence would be the combination of the two.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, would AGI be like an artificial intelligence that can create artificial intelligence?
Um, it would certainly be able to do something like that, I would
Wow.
say. Yeah,
Okay.
they're already using AIs to train AIs. I don't know if they're creating them on their own,
Right.
but it would
Right.
be just a higher level of functionality than we're currently seeing with AI.
Okay, and that would be a lot better than the generative AI that we have right now.
Yeah, I think that would be something that you wouldn't be able to tell at all that it's an AI. It would pass like the Turing test.
Right.
Um, but it would have additional functionality. It would be able to probably learn on its own and improve on itself,
Ooh,
which kind of
okay.
takes us down
Yeah.
like Ultron in the Avengers movies. I
I
know
was
some
thinking
people
about
are a
that.
little
Yeah.
worried about that. Yeah.
There's Skynet as well from Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot. There are a lot of movies about it. Why we shouldn't go towards this, but I don't think that's the right way to think about it. It's just information, right? And I don't think wondering how we would use it in the future should stop us getting that information, getting that knowledge, getting into this next step of evolution, I would
Hmm.
say. So yeah, talking about generative AI, what is generative AI? What do you think it is? What we use it for right now?
So a generative AI like ChatGPT is something it's a program that's been trained on a huge amount of data.
Right?
So in the case of ChatGPT, it was trained on all kinds of different websites, journals, articles, college textbooks.
Wow.
And so it's able to talk about it uses statistics to analyze text, and
Right.
it's able to predict what is the most likely next word based on the previous words.
Ooh.
And so when we say that it's understanding what you're writing, and I mean it appears like it's understanding what you're writing, but it's actually using statistics in the background to analyze that text. So it's not understanding the way that you and I would understand text,
Right. Right.
but it's able to do it convincingly enough that it usually sounds pretty good.
Oh,
And it's very, very flexible because it's been trained on all kinds of different disciplines. You can ask it a question about nursing or about business or about psychology or about whatever topic. And like we demonstrated in class,
yes.
it's multilingual also. It's not
Yeah.
always 100%, but it's pretty good. Um, and so it's its flexibility, I think, that makes it so interesting.
I was actually really surprised by the multilingual feature of ChatGPT. I was like, this could solve so many problems. I wouldn't have to help my mom with tech support anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, jokes aside, I think it's an amazing tool. It's no short of magic, I would say. I think it's a very powerful tool and we should use it properly.
Yeah.
But again, everything has its limitations and drawbacks. What do you think are the, some things that can make AI better, or it's lacking somewhere right now?
Yeah, so a couple things to keep in mind in terms of limitations. They're very, very expensive.
Yeah.
So the technology behind something like ChatGPT is called a large language model. Um, the last stat I saw is for ChatGPT, it costs $700,000 a day to run
A
ChatGPT.
day?
These
Wow.
data centers also consume a lot of water.
Yeah.
So there is, it's not a very efficient process at this point. There are companies that are working on smaller versions of large language models that would run on your phone, something that
Wow.
doesn't need access to all the different data points that the full-fledged models do. And so that would be a lot more cost efficient.
Right.
So yeah, cost is something to keep in mind. Not for the average user
Right.
because it's free, but I mean, someone's paying somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, there's also bias in the system. So it's been trained on majority of English data. So when we're translating some of this information, there could be mistranslation that's
Right.
happening in there. It might not be an accurate picture of the whatever topic you're talking about from a cultural standpoint because it's been very much pulled from like a Western culture.
Right. Right.
So yeah, those are things that we want to be aware of. Another one is accuracy.
Yeah.
So because it's using statistics, there are certain phrases where we all know what the next word is going to be.
Yeah.
So if I say like roses are red, what's going to be
Violets are
that's going to be
blue.
new
Yeah.
that's going to be next, right? But if I say roses are, what's that next word? There's a lot of different words
Yeah.
that could go there.
Yeah.
And if I just say roses, there's all kinds of different words. So how is it determining which word is going to come next? What is the correct word?
Right.
And that's understanding my prompt. It's also understanding the creating that output that I'm going to then take at face value. So there are times where the wrong word is chosen and then it takes it off in some different direction than what we were expecting, which is termed as a hallucination.
Ooh.
Not the best word I don't think to
Okay.
describe what's going on, but if you're not knowledgeable about the topic, you
Right.
might be looking at this information and thinking, okay, this is it. This is 100% factual. This is what ChatGPT is telling me. And so there's a big risk there when you're exploring new topics that you are not very familiar with. You have to verify your information. You have to take some of that and go look in a textbook or on a good website that provides quality information. You have to verify some of this.
Yeah,
And
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And again, as you said, some of the information can be very inaccurate. I remember I saw this post on Reddit where people said that if you ask ChatGPT something like, is 500 divided by 420 or something like that? I'm sorry, my math is really wrong, guys. But yeah, so what would be 20 times 5 would be 1,000? Yeah, something like that. So it was like 20 times 5 would be 100. Oh, would it be?
yes, a little early today.
Yeah. What I read on the Reddit was that if you ask ChatGPT is 20 times 500, it was something like that. I'm not really sure what exactly it was. Then ChatGPT would go, no, this is wrong. Then it starts calculating, and then it's like, oh, you're right, it is 100.
Okay.
So it's still, and I think I used it with ChatGPT 4, which I didn't expect it to make the same mistake, but it still did.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
math is certainly a weak point.
yeah,
And when you think about it, it's using it's a large language model,
right,
and the rules of language is different from the rules of math.
right,
If you put in a prompt to ChatGPT and then you ask it to regenerate, it's going to give you a different answer every time.
Hmm.
it'll have some similarities in there, but it'll never be the exact word for word
Yeah.
output that was generated the first time. Math doesn't work like that. It
No.
has to be consistent at each
Exactly.
time. I think it's only a matter of time, though, before we see large language models that are properly trained on math.
Yeah.
They haven't been trained on this. They've been
Yeah. Yeah.
trained on, they've been exposed to a huge amount of information, and then there's been some training done, but not enough for it to be consistent for this
Right.
purpose.
Right.
Even if you use like the what's it called? There's a plugin for GPT Plus called why can't I remember it right now? Shoot.
Advanced data analysis.
No, that's I know that I know what you mean. No, it's called Wolfram Alpha.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a plugin for
Yeah.
GPT Plus under plugins. If you configure it
Okay.
to
Yeah.
plugins
Yeah.
and you locate the Wolfram Alpha plugin, Wolfram Alpha is what they call the computational intelligence.
Right.
It can do all kinds of math, any kind of science-based questions. If you go to their website, there's all kinds of information there. And with
Wow.
the plugin, it actually will take that your written question.
Okay.
It'll use Wolfram Alpha for the mathematics, and then put that back into the your output. But in my testing, I've still had it create incorrect responses.
Yeah.
Even with
Yeah.
this additional functionality, this is not there yet.
It's getting there. It's getting there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was your first experience using AI?
So for me, my first was ChatGPT. Really,
Yeah.
I was interested in AI previously, but more as like a hobby. I did
Right.
like an online MOOC through the University of Helsinki
Okay.
in 2019, just kind of, learning about how neural networks work.
Right.
But the first real usage was ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It was in November
Yeah.
of last
2022.
year. Yeah, I saw it in the news. Um, I was trying to get it. I wanted it to suggest the best possible superpower.
Ooh,
I'm
that's an
like a
interesting
big.
one.
I'm
Yeah.
a comic book nerd, so I was interested in something like that.
Right. Right.
But it wouldn't. It wouldn't select one. It would kept saying it's a large language model. It doesn't really have an opinion,
Yeah.
and I was trying to kind of argue it in circles to the point where it would choose one. So that was my first usage of it.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
playing around, a little
Yeah.
bit of fun. Um, but then as I saw it in the news more and started to play with it more, I realized how powerful this application was.
Yeah.
Was ChatGPT your first one as well?
Absolutely. ChatGPT was the first AI tool that I ever used. As soon as I saw it in the news, just like you did,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what, I gotta try this out because I'm really big on technology and science altogether. And I always try and keep up to date on tech stuff because I'm in the tech industry, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, can this thing make video games? So
Mm-hmm.
that was my first experience using it. So after I finished my first semester, I was in my semester break. I was just tinkering around with it. I was like, can this chat GPT thing make a video game?
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it out. I was like, can you make a video game? And I was like, no, it's not there yet. It can't code anything. Then I was like, can it design a video game? That is something it should be able to do. And it did.
Hmm.
I gave it a few prompts. I want a game. It was like based in the space. There is like interstellar travel. There are different planets. I gave it some design ideas like how I want some planets to look like, how I want some planets to feel like, and it gave me a whole design idea. This is how the game should look like. This is what you should name the game. It was amazing.
Wow.
I was like, this tool is really powerful.
Yeah.
But as we know, with great powers comes great responsibility, and we have to use it very responsibly as
Mm-hmm.
well. Do you have any suggestions on how people can be responsible with their artificial intelligence
Yeah.
use?
Um, yeah, for sure. Especially as a student, I think you need to be really careful.
Yeah.
Um, you don't want to not learn.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want to cheat
Yeah.
yourself of that process. Although it's difficult at times,
Yeah.
and you have lots of time restraints. So you're trying to work, you're trying to study. There's just not enough time to do this assignment.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it into ChatGPT, and I'm gonna submit whatever comes out.
Yeah.
Which in the short term might seem like a good idea. However, as the faculty at the college become more understanding of what the tool is and what it can do,
All right.
They're going to more easily be able to see if you've been using it or not.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, they might not have a policy in their class yet, but certainly by next semester, I think most teachers are going to have policies on
Hopefully.
its usage
Yeah.
if they don't already. So yeah, it might get you a quick grade on an assignment. It might get you in a whole bunch of trouble, especially if you've had issues with academic integrity in the past.
Right.
It might get you kicked out of school
Yeah.
over that one assignment.
Yeah.
You'd be better off maybe emailing your teacher beforehand and explaining, asking for an extension on something like that. Um, but the bigger issue, I think, is the circumvention of a learning outcome.
Right.
So your assignment has been designed to help you learn this concept or apply this knowledge, something you're going to be doing once you're out in the industry.
Right.
And if you're not picking that up in college, when are you going to learn that?
Exactly.
It's a shortcut now, but it's going to be an insurmountable wall at some point.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you're not doing yourself a favor just by using it blindly.
Right.
You want to be intentional.
Yeah.
You want to brainstorm some ideas with it. You want to maybe get some feedback on a bit of writing from it. You want to cite your usage of it. If you're using it to brainstorm some ideas, include that in your submission so your teacher knows this is what I'm using, this is how I'm using it.
Okay. Is that actually a good way to use it? Like to just learn what you're already learning in college?
You certainly could.
Yeah.
I meant more for like an assignment. If you're not sure where
Right.
to start, you want some ideas,
Right.
you want a scaffold to build off of. Just explain. I would explain that, you know what, I scaffolded off a ChatGPT output whenever I was creating this assignment. Not for the final product, but to get you started at the beginning. It's an excellent tool for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You got to be
absolutely.
careful though, because at some point your teacher might think that you used it for more than that initial scaffold. So what you can do is I would recommend all students use a online Microsoft document,
Okay.
like use MS Word
Right.
in their OneDrive as an online version, not an offline one, because there's a version history there.
Okay.
And so if your teacher wants to see evidence that you didn't, just put all of this through ChatGPT, you have that version history as evidence.
Okay.
That's how I would, if I were a student right now, that's how I would be submitting all of my work, just in case, even if
Yeah.
you're not using it.
Yeah.
You
Why
come
not?
you come against that accusation, whether it's correct or not, and you have evidence.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep them receipts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I sometimes use it for class assignments in your class especially.
Yeah.
Because you allow it.
Yes.
So that was my experience using it in my school area, I would say. I do use it sometimes for my work because I make Instagram captions. I sometimes don't have a lot of time, but I do know what I want on the
Yes.
caption. So I can just, generate a lot of ideas with the captions on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot. What are some of the uses that you use ChatGPT for?
I use it a lot for brainstorming.
Right.
I'll have like a question or a thought about something, and I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with it. It's just an idea I have, and I'll take it to ChatGPT. Other times I'll have the idea, but I'm looking maybe to theme it, or like, what's another suggestion? What's another way of looking at this? I'll use it to structure out some ideas sometimes, if I already, depending where I am in my creation process.
Right.
It's really good for catchy titles. We run a lot of workshops and different training sessions, and I don't just want to call it the same generic name that I do every year. So, give me 10, give me 20 different titles. These are the themes. These are some different keywords I want to iterate off of. It's really good as as an assistant like that.
Yeah.
But just something to keep in mind when you're using it. You have to be authentic. If you're using it in your work, it has to represent you authentically.
I agree with
You can't
that.
be producing something that's at a super high level of quality and it's very complex when you're not able to read or write like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, when in my usage, I try to be open with my usage. Some of the workshops I've run, I've used all Gen AI content. And I'll say at the
Nice.
start, everything you're going to see is from Gen AI. All the
Yeah.
text, all the images, all the audio, all the video, it's all been made with Gen AI. I mean, apart from, a few titles or some parts, But yeah, you have to be authentic. You have to be honest and open with your usage of it. Um, and you can't misrepresent yourself,
No.
especially as a student, because if you're getting into an interview or a potential job based on skills that you've displayed, and then it comes out that you don't have those skills,
Yeah.
it's a major problem.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really feel like whatever you use AI for, it should be a reflection of you. AI is here to help us, not replace us.
sure.
Yeah.
That's a good way of
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah.
If you're using it to in an inauthentic manner, um, there's potential for replacement there because that's not you.
Absolutely.
That's not
Yeah.
you when you're
Yeah.
creating this content. I liked how you put that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, and as I said, like AI is just here to help humans be better, to get into the next level of the technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
We used to think that with the industrialization, automation, humans would lose their jobs. Some did, some definitely did, but it gave humans even more opportunities to work,
I agree.
right? So I kind of feel like that AI is just the same thing. It's just, what would I say? Um, it just looks different on the outside, but I think it serves the same purpose. It's just here to make our lives better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, as you said that you use it for images, text, and even audio sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that it could be used in the industries, for like in entertainment industries, for making music, for making movies, for writing scripts?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt it'll be used for all those things. And I see I understand why there are unions striking right
Yeah,
now. They don't
yeah,
want to be
rightfully
replaced for
so.
that.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's going to cause a lot of disruption. It is causing a lot of disruption in a lot of different industries. But like you were just saying, I think it's going to result in the creation of a lot of new roles as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to really sit here and say, well, what roles is it going to create? Just because it's so disruptive, we don't really know where exactly it's going to go.
Yeah.
If I were a writer right now and I concerned that AI is going to take my job, I would look into how I can leverage AI as a writer to be a more efficient writer
Absolutely.
or a
Yeah.
more efficient artist or a more efficient video editor. The people who should be concerned are the ones who are choosing to remain unaware and are choosing not to learn about what the technology is, how it can be used. Because I think, there is a lot of concern. There's a lot of fear about how this technology will be used. But the way to allay your fears is to become involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
If you're going to sit back and not learn about it and just complain that how it's going to affect you, well, then you can't complain when it does affect you.
It's not going anywhere.
No,
It's here to stay.
yeah,
Yeah.
you really need to just take the opportunity to learn more about it and
Yeah.
figure out how you can use it in your personal life or in your professional life.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I sometimes use it for my art as well. So what I used to do a long time ago before AI is I would source out the different images for what kind of art style I want, what kind of structures I want.
Mm-hmm.
I would put them all together and use it as a reference to make my own artwork, which I don't think is very different from what AI is doing right now. And yet it feels so wrong. Why do you think it's like that?
Well, I think it's the level of effort required.
Yeah.
When you're putting a bunch of time into sourcing all this different information, it could be text information or images or videos or whatever. That's work. That's work, and that's time that you've put in.
Yeah.
It's very consuming.
Absolutely.
Time consuming. Sorry, it's very difficult to do. It takes a lot of time, and so AI kind of, at least these generative AI tools, it reduces that time drastically.
So
And
much.
where people say they feels like they're cheating, even with faculty that I've shown how to use ChatGPT to create like a lesson plan or create an activity for your class or create a rubric for an activity, and they say it feels like they're cheating,
Yeah.
but they're not. It's just it's guiding your practice. It's
Absolutely.
giving an additional opinion, additional information. At the end of the day, you decide whether this is something I'm comfortable going with or not. Maybe as is, it's great. Maybe it's not. Maybe you need to edit it more. Maybe you need to just throw it out and go back to the drawing board, whatever. Um, but it's helping. It's helping you be more efficient with your time and giving you hopefully time to do other things.
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
on the same project or something else. You know, get out and garden for a bit or get out and exercise for a bit. But it's all about efficiency
Oh yeah,
for
yeah, I
me at this
agree
point.
with that. I agree with that so much. And yeah, as we're talking about AI in entertainment industry, we can't not talk about video games, right? Video games are the biggest in the entertainment industry right now, and artificial intelligence has been a part of video games from as long as I can remember, right? So now with the next generation of artificial intelligence that is truly artificial intelligence, what do you think video games would be like in the future?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I've played games since I was a kid. Not as
Yeah.
much these days as I would like to, but I would imagine they would be much more diverse,
Oh yeah.
much more engrossing.
Right.
Like I think AI would be good at writing kind of a standard script, let's say,
Yeah.
but it's going to take a talented writer to really flesh out some of those key pieces um, to make that story more engrossing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more VR technology come out.
Oh yeah.
I was reading that like Meta, or formerly Facebook, you know, they've been have this metaverse project going for a while now. There's another company called, I think it's Character AI.
I've heard of them. I've heard of it's very similar to what Meta is doing right now, if I'm not
Well, they
wrong.
make these different AI personas.
Oh, okay.
And so you could talk to, let's say, Albert Einstein. You know, there's a persona, they'll act just like Albert
Oh,
Einstein. You can
okay.
ask them about whatever. There's other ones for like all kinds of different people or all kinds of roles. If you want to talk to someone who's a doctor, like you can do this with ChatGPT by assigning a persona. But these are like, these have been trained on a specific
Specific.
discipline.
Okay.
So you could have a bunch of these characters in a game that would be interactive. It
Wow.
wouldn't just be a script. You know, if I say this, you say that. It could be amazingly customizable if they were to have something like ChatGPT running in the background and creating these responses. So depending on what you ask and how you ask it, the NPC might behave differently.
Oh,
And
damn.
then in like a VR environment, I would imagine I'm not very familiar with creating VR assets or
Right.
AR assets. I would imagine it's an involved process. So if we could produce higher standard content in a shorter uh, window,
Yeah.
should be able to create a much more engrossing content. And this not only would be games, this could be, you know, in your class.
Yeah.
You're looking to role play and you have maybe a headset on and you're seeing someone who looks like the doctor or like the carpenter or like whoever is in the scenario you're playing out. And it could be so flexible. You could have accents. You could adjust like the cadence and speed of their speech. I think it would be very customizable,
Absolutely.
very engaging
That would be just like bringing someone to life, I
in a
would say.
way. And there
Yeah.
are companies who have done this. There's a company in South Korea that took video of a young girl who died. I think maybe she was 10 years old or something, and then they created this VR simulation.
I've seen that.
And then I mean, it made brought tears to my eyes.
So yeah,
It's
I was
yeah, it's a
bawling
very
my eyes out.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, imagine
Yeah.
you could
That would be
record people's you know, speaking and thoughts on certain issues and then have an AI maintained in the cloud somewhere, and you could talk to like a loved one or or like a role model in the industry or a famous historical figure.
yeah, the amount of information we can still keep on getting from people who are very smart, very intelligent,
Yeah,
that would be next level,
that'd be
right?
crazy. Yeah.
Just never run out of information.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. But yeah, again, AI is a very powerful tool, right? And I feel like we talked about the responsible use, but we should still understand that it's just a tool. It's not here to replace us. We should not be too much relied on AI. What are your thoughts on that?
Being too reliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, there is a lot of fear about this. If someone's able to just put a request or a task into a generative AI tool and not really learn how to do that on their own, that's that circumvention of the learning process. Um, and it's real. I think
Yeah.
there are people who might do that. Um, but you know, I think there's always going to be people who want to learn for the sake of learning. look at all these different niche areas that some people get into. You know, you're an expert in some little aspect of whatever,
Yeah.
something that most people might not be very interested in. Like I used to collect insects when I was a student, and I still will pick up the occasional insect when I see it.
Right.
Your average person doesn't do that.
No.
My friends used to always laugh at me for doing that, and whatever, that's fine. That's something that I'm
That's something
interested
to
in.
laugh at, but okay. Yeah.
You know, everyone has their things that they're into,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
I think learning is such a human thing.
Yeah.
I don't, if it's completely abused, then sure you could go. You could have people going through school, through life, and they're not really picking up on some of these key ideas and information that people should know. I think that happens anyway,
Yeah.
even despite the tools that we have, misuse or not. Um, so yeah, for me, the biggest fear would be that circumvention of learning. But that comes down to your parents, your teachers, designing exposure to different ideas in a way that doesn't allow you to just write it in and then run with the result.
Absolutely.
We have to teach people how to check their information, like the crap test.
Yeah.
My son was in elementary school. He's had lessons on this. So they're teaching this to young kids. You can't just look at a bit of information and accept it at face value. You have to be able to investigate further and identify, you know, what's real here and what's not. So I don't think that changes anything really.
No, it does not. It does not. And again, you also have to learn when to disconnect from it, right? You can't always be using ChatGPT for everything. Sometimes, yeah, use it for resources, absolutely. But you have to know when to step back, take a look at other resources as well, right? I would personally recommend reading a lot of books, for example, or just using Google. Google is still there. It's still an amazing tool that we can still use for research purposes. We talked about how people can use AI in their workplace or for their school. How would you say people can use it for, let's say, their personal development or career development?
Yeah. Personal development. So we're kind of at the very beginning.
Right.
We have, you know, certain tools that are available, but I think they're going to be a much larger variety, even in the next, you know, year, let's say. So a lot of the tools that we have are like ChatGPT.
Right.
Then you have the Facebook version, Llama, and you have the Google version, Google Palm, or
Yeah.
they've branded as Bard. Then you have Anthropic Claude, which is a large
it?
context window large language model.
Okay.
They're all quite similar.
Okay.
Some might be better suited to certain uses, and some might not be. It's going to come down to the individual testing out the tool and seeing, you know, what's best for my purpose.
Yeah.
But then we're going to have specialized ones as well. So if it's something based for the medical field, for financial field, for education, we're going to have more fine tuning and training of these models to a certain industrial niche.
Right.
There's also one called Pi AI.
Pi
Have you seen
AI?
that?
No, I have not heard of it.
It's by, I think it's made by Inflection,
Okay.
and it's like a counselor.
Oh,
It's very conversational, and I tried it out one day. I had a lot on my plate, and I was kind of venting a little bit,
yeah.
and it was really supportive, and it offered
Wow.
some good advice. Now it kind of talked in circles after a while, which I said, you know, you're talking in circles, and it said it was designed to do that. It's helping me talk my way through my problem, so it would bring us back to this topic again. Now I'm a little concerned about data collection and something like that. I did ask about that, and it wasn't able to tell me what kind of data it collects. But I think there'll be private localized versions, or maybe through your insurance provider, where, you know, you'll be able to, you know, it's not just about completing some task.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about making yourself feel a little better.
Absolutely.
So I think we're going to have a wider variety of tools in different niches. And when it comes to something like personal development, you could have like like a topic exploration tool, which I guess that's what ChatGPT
Yeah,
already is. But maybe it would be something a little more focused, where it's not going to just give you the answer. It's
Right.
going to give you a bit of information and perhaps ask you a question about it. And it's kind of guide, kind of teach you through whatever it is you're looking to learn. Right now, it's kind of like, you know, the curtain gets whipped back.
Yeah,
Here's all the information
Yeah.
that you need. But I'm sure and we could do it with careful prompting.
Yeah.
But this would be something that's designed intentionally to not give you the whole answer, but to kind of coach you through how to figure that answer out. And it could be something that you're learning in school, or it could just be something that you're curious about. You want to learn more about.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where these tools are for me. Something like ChatGPT, it's a learning assistant.
Right.
It's a co-explorer. It's so powerful because it can talk about all kinds of things in all kinds of languages. And yes, there's bias, and yes, there's some information that might not be accurate, but I'm so happy with it as it is. I'll take
Me
it
too.
warts and all, just because there's so much potential there.
It is.
I'm
It is,
using it
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I love I get to explore it and test it out. And what about this and what about that? And I'm impressed. I'm impressed all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I always try and push its limitations as well. I try and talk about it, various stuff. I'm very much into history as well, art as well, culture and science and technology for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially space. I'm obsessed with it. Sometimes I just wanna get more information about certain topics, right? So I'll just go on ChatGPT. Hey, tell me about this.
Yes.
Tell me about this. Tell me about something completely that I would think up in my mind. For example, what I would say something that happened in this time a long time ago in history related to this thing, and will give me that information.
Yes.
It may or may not be accurate, but it's getting there, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning something.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love to use ChatGPT for that.
So imagine if you could have like a fact checking that would run just to make
Yeah.
sure that it's accurate, but then like a VR environment generator where you could watch that, you could see that happen, right? That would be super
That would be
cool.
amazing.
That would be super cool.
Yeah, that would be the utopian future that I would be dreaming of. Yeah, yeah. Again, that is something I always envision. The future of AI. It's just. Have you seen Ready Player One?
Yes.
Yeah, that is exactly the kind of technology I imagine the future of AI would be like, except all the dystopian part of it.
Okay.
Because it's very sad. You've seen it. It's the way people are living in there. No, I don't want that. But I do want the tech. I do
Yes.
want the tech for sure. So what do you imagine? What do you envision the future of AI to be like?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a challenging question. I know there's a lot of people who are pessimistic about the technology. We're going to be the robots are going to take over, and humans will be some second class or whatever. Um, I don't know. I mean, Terminator was a movie.
Yeah.
All these other things we're describing, where it all goes wrong, these are movies. It's Hollywood. It's meant to sell tickets. It's not meant to accurately represent what the future may or not be.
Yeah.
I don't think personally. I don't think it's going to go that way. A utopia for me would be just correct or informed usage of the technology.
Yeah.
People are using it to learn. They're using it to create, and we're able to create and learn about so much more than we normally would because we're able to do it in a much more efficient manner. It can be customized to whatever you want to learn, however you want to learn it, whenever you want to learn it. That's never been possible in human history.
Oh,
You
no.
always have to go to some place, and this is where you're going to learn that. Or, it's not offered right now. You got to come back in 6 months when it's offered. Or you have to take these first courses first, even though you might already be familiar with some of those. Or you have to take this course and this course together, but I'm only interested in this one. I don't want that other one. I see a future where learning is very personalized.
Oh yeah.
Whereas you have
Absolutely.
a business plan where you want to open a certain business, you don't have to take a business degree or a business diploma to do that. You can take, one of these courses and a couple of those courses, and you can build that all together and get the information you want, and maybe tag on a few fun ones that are for your personal interest. But you don't have to take some of these courses that you're really not interested in order to achieve whatever you want to achieve in your life.
Yeah.
So it could be customizable in any language, at any pace, to any depth that you're able to understand. Dystopian would be a misuse, would be a lack of critical thought,
Yeah.
and an over reliance on AI generated answers that no one's really checking to see if this is accurate or not.
Yeah.
And then we're already seeing that now, though. Before ChatGPT ever came along, fake news became a big term, and people are questioning whether the Earth is round, and whether they
Yeah.
should get a vaccination or
Yeah.
not. Or did people go to the moon? Did NASA ever go to the moon? There's already a question of this information, some of which has been established as fact for thousands and thousands of
Yeah. Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So it's already happening.
It is. It is. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I like the way that you put it, that it will have like personalized learning experiences for everyone. And yeah, as we've talked about before as well, AI is only here to help us, not replace us.
Mhm.
I think that's the best way you put it. And yeah, but yes, still, over reliance on it, I would think that it would be the death of curiosity and creativity, which is what makes us human, to be curious and be creative.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just another thought on the dystopian future,
Right.
and we're kind of getting there already, in the sense of personal data and online privacy. I think there's so many companies collecting data on so many people, building these data profiles on you, whether you're, it doesn't matter if you're a minor or if you're an international student or whatever. And this information is being sold, it's being monetized, um, to our detriment. I think this is
Yeah.
not being done for our good. And so, I mean, one dystopic concern would be if AI was allowed access or allowed to collect all this information on people. I think we need, to prevent this kind of dystopian potential future, we need stronger online privacy. We need
Definitely.
privacy enabled by default.
Yeah.
Whenever you go to some website and it says, do you accept these cookies? Um, Often there's a button right there to accept all.
Yeah.
And if you want to reject any, you have to go into the settings.
Yeah, they make it way too complicated for you to go through that effort of declining all the cookies.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
it would be
Some
much
don't.
easier to just accept them.
There are some sites, and I don't know if it's region based or what, but once in a while you'll see one that is a reject all button.
Yeah.
It should be reject all by default.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should ask
I
you,
agree. Yeah.
do you mind? Or they should be compensating people. If I'm agreeing to have cookies stored on my device, that's going to track my data, is going to be monetized by some other company. They should get my permission for that from the start. Or even if you had like a digital wallet in an online portfolio, or not a portfolio, but digital ID kind of thing, um, they should pay.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
if it's, it would be pennies
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
click, let's say.
Yeah.
But if people are open to sharing their personal data, they should be compensated for that.
This actually reminds me of something Adobe did with their editing softwares and programs. I recently found out that by default, whenever you install their application on your computer, you accept to the terms that you allow Adobe to use your work to train their AI. I was shocked by that. And they make it so difficult for you to disable it. It was crazy. So
Okay. And
I,
ChatGPT does the same thing. A lot of these
yeah,
large language models, yeah.
yeah,
You can opt out.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You can definitely opt out, but they don't make it very clear for you.
Yes.
So a lot of artists all around the world were really mad at Adobe for doing this. And I agree with people. I wouldn't want my artwork to be stolen by these huge corporations and they make money off of it. That's not fair. That's not fair to me. I would at least like to be paid by it.
Yes.
In any way, as you said, like even if it's pennies,
Yes.
I need that credit. I need that money. I need that recognition.
Yeah. Something like maybe in more of the Spotify model where, I can specify a certain artist style, but when I generate something using that style, they're compensated for that. And
Yeah.
yes, it would be very little, but if it's being used en masse by a large number of people, then they're earning income off of their creativity and their skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Same with a writing style or a musical style or something like that. We're not there yet, but I'm certainly open to that.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too, me too. Again, for me, I'm very much into video games. I'm taking game development. You're one of my professors, you know it. I am really worried about the future that gaming industry holds in terms of AI, because now where AI is going towards is actually kind of taking over, the whole programming part of it, the whole programming aspect of it. I've seen multiple videos of game developers using ChatGPT to just make video games. It's a bit grim. The future looks a bit grim, but there's still hope. I want to look at the optimistic side of the AI, because AI has been helping in medical field as well. It's been figuring out, the ways to treat cancer and stuff like that. It's amazing the way some fields have been using AI in betterment of human evolution. And I want to end on that note, a very positive note, that AI is here to help us. It's not here to replace us again. Yeah. What are your final thoughts on artificial intelligence? What would you like to say about it?
If we could just speak just briefly to the game development, the game developer who is replaced by AI is the game developer who doesn't use AI, who doesn't incorporate these tools into their skill set.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a day where you can create a game of your own in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, there are people who do it, and they almost break their backs. Yeah. There's so much effort required and all these different elements of that. But if you had an AI co-pilot that was helping you either maybe plan out the graphics a little bit,
definitely,
or the game mechanics a little bit, or maybe it's the marketing of the game while you handle, the development part. But what about the business side of getting this game onto a platform, monetizing it? How do you manage the finances that come in on that? There's so many different parts that are required. And so it doesn't have to actually create the game for you necessarily. Yeah. Or maybe there's a person who's very into business and has an idea, but they don't know how to make a game. So they have this skill set, but they're able to leverage the AI tool to build out and fill in those knowledge gaps, let's say, hopefully learn along the way.
Yeah.
But it enables your average person to really augment their abilities to an extent that we're only starting to see. We're only starting to see this. And maybe that would be a good place to wrap it up, is that, with all this disruption that we're seeing, and all this potential application, and, people who are very positive about it, people who are very negative about it, people are scared about it, we're only really seeing the very, very beginning. It's been less than a year since this one tool was released.
Yeah.
There are multiple competitors, most of which are not really available to your average person yet. In a
probably
year,
much more powerful than ChatGPT, right?
Well, who knows? We don't know, because
probably
it could be.
It
certainly could.
We don't know.
If you want to check out the different ones, you can go to a site called Chatbot Arena.
Chatbot Arena.
If you Google the Chatbot Arena, it's hosted on Hugging Face, and what you can do is you can put in your prompt. Right. It's text only. You put in your prompt, and it generates an output from 2 different large language models, but it's anonymous. You don't know which one. You don't know which one is creating it. And you can follow up with your questions, ask for more examples, then you decide which one you like best, and you choose it, and then it'll tell you which one you've been using.
Wow.
But it gives you access to not only the open source ones, but the closed source ones as well. Okay. You can try the Google one, you can try the Meta one, you can try the Anthropic Claude one, ChatGPT, the free version and 4. There's a bunch of different ones that are available. It's a really, really cool.
And it's free to use.
It's completely free to use. Yeah, it's a little slow sometimes, but I mean, it's free to use. So, that might be a good thing to check out, and just see what the potential usage of these different tools is.
Wow. Thank you so much, Patrick, for coming to the podcast and educating us on artificial intelligence. Is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to?
A shout out. I would give a shout out to any students or faculty who want to learn about ChatGPT, to attend any of the training sessions that are offered here at the college. And my friends and family, they're so sick of hearing me talk about ChatGPT, because I talk about it all the time. Even when I meet, I'll meet people at like my daughter's karate class, and I met a dad last weekend, and I said, "Hey, what do you do? Are you into ChatGPT?" I find it so interesting. There's no avoiding it, really. No, so, create an account, start asking some questions, and really you need to get a feel for what this technology is capable of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like you've said multiple times, it's not going anywhere.
It's not.
It's
not.
only getting better.
Yeah.
So the time to start learning is today.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Again, thank you so much, Patrick,
You're welcome.
for coming on the podcast. Thank you, everyone, for watching it, and we'll see you in the next episode.